The future of the executive mayor of the City of Johannesburg, Dada Morero, hangs in the balance, as council is expected tomorrow to debate a motion of no confidence in him. The motion had been brought by Jama-ah and seconded by the UDM. The 270-seat council is run by an ANC-led coalition after no party garnered sufficient votes to govern singularly. A total of 18 political parties are represented in the council. It is not yet clear which way the vote will go. But with 44 council seats, Action SA has instructed its councillors to abstain during the vote. Dada Morero in the City of Johannesburg is soon facing a motion of no confidence. Will your councillors in the City of Johannesburg be voting in favour of it or against it?
No, we're going to abstain. We're not interested in their politics.
44 seats, that's it, gone. Will they be able to coalesce sufficiently to get it across the line? 270 is the total number of seats there. They need to get 50% plus one. To talk more about this, we're joined by political analyst Professor Dirk Kotze, governance expert Professor Alex van der Heeven from the Wits School of Governance. Prof van der Heeven, I want to start the conversation with you. The pretext to the motion of no confidence, at least as outlined by Jama-ah and the UDM, and their support of minority governing parties in the City of Johannesburg, is that there's been serious service delivery failures. If that's true, it's certainly not new, but the assessment should rather be that has it improved under the tenure of Dada Morero, which, by the way, is less than 2 years old, right? It's a tenure that has been marred by political swinging, given his predecessors, people like Kabelo Gwamanda and Tapelo Gwamanda, rather, and Kabelo, all both from Jama-ah party. If you were to objectively assess whether or not service delivery in the city has improved, however margin it may have been under Dada Morero, what would be your assessment?
I think it has been extremely poor, but it has also been poor under this coalition, which existed prior to Dada Morero being mayor. So there's been what appears to be a continued structural decline in service delivery. I think the other concern there that I'd have is that these parties voted for Dada Morero in June last year. So there was a no confidence vote and they were perfectly happy to support him. And there's effectively, objectively, no real difference between service delivery then and now. So it suggests that this is not about service delivery. This is about probably patronage politics tied to the possibility of a new ANC chairperson taking control of the mayor's seat. That might be the driving force. That's not really a governance issue. That's really about a change in the face of what has been a pretty disastrous coalition government.
Yeah. Professor Kotze, perhaps to ask you exactly that question, do you think that there's the possibility that this might be an attempt to take advantage of the swing, or at least the change in ANC top leadership in the region, to be able to get rid of Dada but not necessarily get rid of the ANC?
Good evening. Yes, I think there is definitely an element of that involved in it. There's some discussions that Luyiso Masuku has taken over as the regional leader, that she might become the deputy mayor if Dada Morero continues as mayor, if he's not voted out by a motion of no confidence. But there's certainly a changeover of the leadership within the ANC region of Johannesburg. We must obviously not forget about the election that's in the pipeline. And I think it has a lot to do also with how parties start to position themselves with respect to the election. That's not includes obviously the ANC, but it includes also smaller parties. And we've just seen now about Action SA, who in the 2024 election was very explicit about it, that they will never cooperate with the ANC, but in the end did so. So I think it has very little to do with governance or the results of the Dada Morero's administration, and much more about the political maneuvering that's at the moment taking place. Also within the ANC, and the smaller parties, because what is interesting about Johannesburg is that these coalition formations are actually at two levels. That's the political management council, as they call it, of the bigger parties, and then the minority governing parties of Jama-ah, the UDM and others. And I think these formations are really being used now by these parties in order to optimize their positions for the coming election.
Yeah, yeah. Alex, I want to bring you back into the conversation, and I want to double click in on that service delivery assessment. In March last year, the president had announced a presidential working group to be deployed to the city of Johannesburg. This group was markedly successful in the city of eThekwini in Durban the year prior to that. And not long after that, Dada Morero himself had announced very uncreatively the bomb squad in the city of Johannesburg. And this was meant to interact with organizations such as the Johannesburg Crisis Alliance and various other civil societies, bodies and outfits in the city to be able to turn around the service delivery crisis at the time, marred very deeply so by water shortage and water delivery crisis across the city of Johannesburg. If your assessment of Dada Morero is that it has just been a continuation of the failure of the coalition, does that assessment hold true for the presidential working group as well as the bomb squad?
Yes, for all of them. There's been no material change systemically in their performance. The Joburg, the city power is potentially insolvent as it operates now. The water services are continuously disrupted. The repair of roads shows that there are great big holes in the roads constantly, and there is major flooding in a lot of areas. So personally, my meter has not been repaired in over a year, nearly a year and a half, despite multiple complaints. That's the kind of operation that is being run. You can't possibly manage your revenue with such incompetence. And so part of the problem that we have is many of the city companies themselves, are run very poorly, and they are run by deployees of the ANC and political appointments. As we've just seen, an MMC has just been arrested.
A CEO of an agency.
Of the agency, the Joburg Development Agency, which is appalling. And it's a very youthful person who's appointed who probably is not competent for that organization. But it's quite clear that in many of these cases, it's entirely patronage appointments. And this is where I'd go to say that on the no confidence vote, the question is what's been promised to people? Because I don't think this has anything to do with service delivery. This has to do with people servicing private interests using the Joburg government. And I think that that's what has to be...
Alex, can I perhaps ask this more singularly on Dada Morero himself? He only became mayor truly towards the second half, or rather in the second half, towards the fourth quarter of 2024. August 2024, very precisely. That means that he would have been mayor for a year and some change, a year and 6 months just about, if my quick math serves me right. Was that a sufficient amount of time to be able to turn around what are historically ailing agencies across the city?
First of all, the agencies are organized as patronage organizations. There are people appointed into these boards that appoint the people into the organizations. They're paid enormous salaries, and they're cloaked from, we don't have full transparency into the council itself as to what is going on within them. So the problem is that they are not operating effectively and efficiently. And when I say that city power is effectively insolvent, we've had reports that have come out that they only raised 19 billion rand in revenue last financial year, when they had around about 21 billion rand, 21 to 22 billion rands worth of expenses. That means that they had a deficit, a structural deficit. This year they budgeted 25.6 billion rand for the same organization in revenue, which is impossible. They're not going to raise that. So that means that there's a manipulation of the budget process there to hide the fact that there's a great big glaring hole in the financing of city power. So the question is it in a death spiral at this point in time? This is under Dada Morero's supervision, and he was the MMC for finance prior to that, which means it was a direct responsibility of his. And prior to him becoming mayor, quite potentially, the ANC was essentially calling all the shots anyway. There was just a token mayor from Jama-ah. Nobody could seriously regard those mayors as actually real.
Yeah.
So I think that effectively this coalition, the whole lot of them, have to be held responsible for what's going on in Johannesburg, not just the mayor, all of them.
Yeah.
And that's why when I look at the no confidence vote, I don't see that it's about service delivery at all. It's about something completely different.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily even about future elections. It's potentially about patronage.
Professor Kotze, I want to bring you back in here. I want to take a look at this graphic, and I'll put it on your screen right now. This is the seat allocation in the city of Johannesburg. We know already now Herman Mashaba will instruct the Action SA councillors in the city of Johannesburg to not vote, or rather to abstain from the vote. The ANC sits on 91 seats. The Democratic Alliance, who's not a partner of that coalition in the city of Johannesburg, sits on 77 seats. And Action SA is the third largest party there with 44 seats. Given that Action SA will be abstaining from the vote, what are the prospects that it gets across the line?
I think the real question is whether those who are in favor of the motion of no confidence will have a majority. And I think that's the real challenge. In the past, the previous motion of no confidence, only the DA voted in favor of it, and all the other parties either against it or also stay out of the vote. So I think from that point of view, the fact that there's a 20 seats difference between the ANC and the DA, that is really, I think, the biggest component of it. If Action SA removes itself from the voting, then still it's not will mean that will definitely favor the other parties, which will include Jama-ah and the UDM and a few others, but they are so small that to a large extent they will actually rely on the support of the DA, and we will have to see to what extent the DA is going to, how they will vote in such a motion of no confidence. Of course, in some instances they will also stay out of the vote, like in previous elections or in previous motions voting.
Yeah, I mean, they would need 136 votes for that motion to get across the line. The standard deviation seems far too wide. The Democratic Alliance with only 71 votes, and the minority governing partners there to the ANC having substantially far less than what is required to get that from 71 to 136. But we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Really do appreciate it, Prof Dirk Kotze, as well as Prof Alex van der Heever from the Wits School of Governance. That motion of no confidence debate will take place tomorrow and the vote thereafter. And of course, we'll give you live coverage on that as it takes place.